Hi everyone, I'm Cindy. I am here to try and help you overcome your fear of sewing the Yale New Haven mask. I am a novice sewer. In fact, my very good friend sent me a meme today that I thought was very funny, but told her I had something funnier to tell her, and that was that I was making a sewing video, which she could not believe. So I am not a seamstress. I just happen to own a sewing machine. And I'm gonna walk you through this, and I probably will not use real sewing terms because I actually don't know them, but it may sound more like a cooking video, like sausaging, roll it like a taco, press it like a panini. So I promise you, it's much easier than you think. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is my cutting tutorial. Because I only made one copy of this, what I do is I accordion the fabric. It's not a sewing term, but this is how I do it. And if my fabric is striped, I just line this up along the bottom, and then I'm going to make a little snip in the fabric here, a little bit wider, and then pick it up and tear it. Feels good. Put this aside, and then I'm going to take this fabric and accordion it so that I can cut several layers at a time. So I go back and forth because you always want to make sure you have a front and a back layer of the fabric. And again, I'm kind of winging it. I'm going, back and forth, back and forth, and I'm gonna have a little extra. I'm gonna line my fabric up, take a few pins here, pin it on. You don't need a lot. And you have to have pretty sharp, oops, I already see I made a mistake that the bottom one wasn't down quite far enough. There we go. You need sharp scissors for this because it's gonna have to get through all the layers of the fabric. The lining's a little thinner, so those cut a little more easily, but I'll just show you quickly. Okay, so I'm gonna go cut straight across because that's the easiest. Next cut is up, around. I have all these that are ready to go, and you can see I made a mistake one time and they were all going the same direction, but I have this two right sides that I'm then going to sew down the center. Have a whole stack. So you're going to repeat with the lining fabric where it says pocket lining. It's a little bit smaller than the front of the mask, so exact same process. It's actually a little easier to cut because in most of the kits, the lining fabric is more of a sheeting material. And in some cases, it's the same on both sides, like on this stripe. So I think you can use it either way, but just repeat the process. So this is the next step, which on your instruction sheet is this here, where you sew and you just kind of keep sewing the same thing over and over again without stopping and cutting the thread. One of our sewers who is dropping off or picking up a sewing kit as I was describing it, said it's kind of like sausage. So now it is a new sewing term that I am using called sausaging. So this is what you do. You get your stack of all your pieces that you've cut out, and just make sure you've got the right sides of the fabric facing together. You have a whole stack. Get your machine started, and you just start sewing. And I am a total novice. I am not a good sewer, as you will see. This is painful for me. I can see I didn't do a great job of cutting that one, but that's fine. Keep going. Just don't stop, don't cut. Just keep feeding in new ones all along the way. It saves you so much time. Okay, next just cut them all apart. Okay, so you're going to repeat the same process with your lining. And I don't think I mentioned, but I think all of you know this, but this is the front of the mask, so you just sew down that front part, both the line, the seam down the front of the mask. So repeat with the lining. Lining done. So the next step is the top stitching, and you need to take the each piece of the mask and just snip the corners a little bit. And according to the written directions, they suggest that you take it and iron it, which you're definitely more than welcome to do. But if you don't like to iron, like I don't like to iron, you can just top stitch it and pull really tightly as you're sewing this seam down. So you push the seam over, and then start sewing, and just kind of tug as hard as you can at the seam, checking to be sure it's off there to the left, and top stitch it down. And again, just feed one in after another. I'm just going to do that one, but you can just feed one in after another. Do the same with your lining, and then once you've top stitched down the seam on the lining, you want to take the right end, as if you were to have the mask on, and roll this under twice and sew that seam down. And you can either do it top or bottom, doesn't matter. But you can just feed several of those through, one right after another, once you get them all lined up. And that's it for that step. Okay, next we're getting closer to the end. You're going to take the two pretty parts of the masks and put them together, line up the center of it, the nose piece that goes over the nose, and once you've got it set, you are going to sew along that top edge. And just like we've been doing, we're gonna sausage it together. No need to stop in between unless you have a bobbin problem like I had. Okay, I have a few more all lined up and ready to go. Start my next one. And yes, this is the amateur way. I'm sure experienced seamstress can do this much faster, but it does still save a lot of time. Michelle had someone helping her that was fixing all these, lining them up and then handing them to her. So if you have that option, take advantage of it. And I'm gonna just keep going with this, sewing the top edge, and then I'm gonna repeat after I've done all these and sew the bottom edge. Home stretch. Take your mask and turn it inside out. And this is actually a great thing to have someone else in your house do for you and get them all set up. And now we're gonna attach the cords. So you wanna take 4 cords. I've already done one side, but I'm gonna demonstrate on this side. Take your mask and bring it over to your sewing machine. And this is a tip my friend Tammy suggested. Lay your 2 cords down, and then this is kind of in place of like trying to pin them. Just run, you can actually go back and forth, but just secure them in place. Oops. I have to use scissors because my little cutter is very dull. And then lay it down and roll it up like a taco. Bring it back over to your machine, and in this case, it's the side that has the pocket, so you want to be sure not to catch that pocket, but just roll it up. And the fabric is tripled here, and you've got the tie, so sometimes it helps to just tug it to get through that part with the tie. So straight down. You want to go back and forth a little bit, you can secure it. Now that I've got the ties in, I am going to top stitch the top of the mask and the bottom of the mask. And when I do that, I'll run over those cords again, just to make them even that much more secure. So I'm top stitching it. As close to the edge as you can get. I'm going to do the same along the bottom, and then I will have a completed mask. There you go. So hopefully it wasn't anywhere near as difficult as you thought. We really, really appreciate your help in doing this. There is a real need for them, and we couldn't do it without you. So thank you for making these. Don't leave yet. Cheers. You deserve this. Thanks again.